And here at the 12 o'clock position on Atlantis Spaceship, we have our red Zerg player from SlayerS trying to put them just one game away from advancing. It is Miya, or Mi Vida Loca.
Mi Vida Loca.
And his opponent, as some people are saying in the live report thread on Team Liquid, from NSHoSeo, our blue Protoss player, the man NSH.San.
That's right, man Zenith. Oh, man, that brings back memories.
Man Zenith.
For those of you who may be a little bit newer to the GSL players, or to the GSL, or to Korean StarCraft in general, he used to be San Zenith.
Yes.
And honestly, he used to be a bit of a joke in the StarCraft 2 community. He was known as easily one of the worst players out there. He was, there's no other way to say it. He was the butt of many bad player jokes. But he came back and did extremely well. I believe he made it to the semifinals of was it the Super Tournament? It was one of the GSL tournaments last year where he knocked out like everybody that was considered really, really good at the time. And since then, you know, he's been a very, very solid Protoss player, which is kind of funny because you usually don't see a player that's considered, you know, as bad as San was originally come back and become very good, you know?
Hey, man, still waiting on Legal Mind to take over.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, man, he's going to come back. No worries.
Yes, but then he was dubbed the Man Zenith himself.
Man Zenith, that's right.
Well, Forge up at the front for Man Zenith, as he has 15 Forge once again. A lot of players will take expansion risks on this map because the walk distance is just so darn long. Yep. However, San did get up to his opponent's base pretty quickly, so he would have been in position to deny that hatchery anyway if that was coming out right now. So, as we can see, though, Forge for him, no Nexus first, and we'll see what he decides to move into after that.
Yep. You know, on maps like this, it kind of changes from a walk distance to more of like a brisk jog distance. It's kind of that long, you know?
It is.
If you walk it, it's just going to take a long time. You might as well just jog, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, probes and drones don't need to worry about that stuff. They can just float.
That's right. They just levitate. Why can't they just levitate faster? It's not like,
you know, actually SCVs do too.
Yeah.
All the worker units float. Yeah.
They have, SCVs have little jets, or...
Yeah, they do.
I'm sure it's jet technology. I actually sound like I'm from the 1950s predicting what happens in 1987. Like, oh, yes, we'll be on Mars by 1987.
That's
Clearly.
right.
Yes.
All the cars will fly.
Yes.
In 2015.
What's your bold prediction by the year 2020? What's your bold prediction?
By the year 2020?
What's your, like, outlandish sci-fi fantasy that we're going to have in 8 years from now? So.
We'll clone dinosaurs and ride them into battle.
Oh, you're ambitious.
There you go.
I appreciate that,
sounds
actually.
Good to me, man.
I was more hoping something like we would be off of, like, fossil fuels entirely, but no, let's go with that. So
we can make new fossils if we clone dinosaurs.
Yes. Oh, that's right. We just wait a few million years.
We've got all the fossil fuels all figured out, man.
Oh, man, the fossil fuels become a renewable energy source. You're a genius.
See, I know. Why am I not president?
Well, there's
I'm
several
not 35
reasons,
yet. You have to be 35, right?
That's true.
I've got a ways to go for that. But
and you have to have been born in this country. And
I was born.
No, I don't. That's out for debate. That is out for debate. You produce a birth certificate. I'm
You're
a DOA birther. I'm a DOA birther. Okay.
We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Where's the birth certificate? I don't have it with me.
Hawaii? Is that even a real state, DOA?
I admit it, man. I don't have my birth certificate with me. There's no proof that I was actually born in the U.S. right here.
Well, Man Zenith is once again going for that quick +1. He does have that warp gate technology coming up now, and so everything's looking pretty much the same for him. He decided to go Robo before anything else last go around. We'll see if that's the same path he goes down, or if he wants to switch things up, maybe with a few additional gateways. I mean, Robo is kind of weird on this map pretty early on. He may still decide to get it, but I mean, it's not like you need those to a strong immortal count right away to be able to deflect or go through destructible rocks or something weird like that. So
right. I mean, this is a type of map too where a lot of Protoss players will go ahead and just a little bit later completely wall off their natural choke point and then go through those rocks and take the third. Yeah, very, very common stuff.
We've even seen weird things on this map where they'll take a third, then they'll plant down 5 gateways or 4 gateways with a huge amount of photon cannons behind that, and then start to close off this spot as well. Or they'll, like you said before, close off this little portion right here and then decide to take the rich Vespian Geyser third.
Yep. A lot of options for Protoss and Terran as far as walling off go on this map. There's the gas finishing up for SlayerS Miya. and he's going to go ahead and start getting that as soon as he realizes, there we go, that the gas is finished. And going into a very normal mid-game for Zerg. Oh, actually getting a third gas as well. So from here, he can just make units it takes to stay safe. Obviously, he probably won't need to make as many units right away. He's going to be able to do a little bit of scouting and know that he can go up to that 70 drone count a little bit faster. Just because the map distance, again, is so long that he doesn't have to worry about the type of pressure that he saw on Ohana. Yeah, and I really think that this is a good map, actually, for Mutalisk, because I'm a really big fan of it.
This map has been about as this game has been about as normal gets for an early game PvZ, though, so nothing too out of the ordinary to note for these guys. Is there speed is coming up? Is there an evolution chamber? That may be the only thing that's a little bit out of the ordinary. I don't see an evolution chamber quite yet.
Yeah, that is actually an interesting thing to note, is that he is kind of skipping that, as far as I know. I haven't seen it either.
Nope.
I don't have a computer that can look around, unfortunately, but I have not seen the engineering bay myself, or Evo chamber, rather. So, yeah, I mean, I wonder if we are going to see Mutas. He is taking his 4th gas right now. I think it's a good map for it. It's, of course, not as common as any other thing that Zerg really does. Mutalisks have kind of fallen a little bit out of style in every matchup, except for maybe ZVZ. They're still used okay, but he's spending a lot of gas on roaches right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, it doesn't really line up with the Spire timing, and he's actually just going to go for roach upgrades, it looks like, but still no Evo chamber. I wonder if that was a mistake, actually, from Miya.
I've got to think it was to some degree. Now, this is...
yeah, I'm actually positive it was, because it's just way too dangerous, too, to not have an Evo chamber and not have the capability of making spore crawlers.
Well, he just wants +1 coming as well now. I mean, it just fits in so well with what he's doing. But that being said, Miya is losing a couple of Zerglings there, forces some force fields out of his opponent, though.
Yeah.
But San is just playing this as normal gets.
Oh, there we go.
His Robo went up after the 4 gates. He's got Blink on the way, going up to Robo Bay. He's got +2, taking a 3rd base. I mean, it's going to come down to, can he protect it? If he can, he's in a pretty good spot. And I think there you go, is pointing out we do have double evolution chambers coming down now for Miya.
Yeah, that's so going from a very delayed Evo chamber to 2 of them right away. And when these finish, he's not going to have enough for 2-2, I believe. Barely has enough gas for 1-1, rather, to be started at the same time. Getting his 5th and 6th gas right now as well. And he's going to put some pressure on the 3rd, but I feel like this is going to be pretty easily defended by San, even though his unit count is a little bit low because of all the teching that he's been doing.
Well, he does have 1 Immortal out now, and it's on +2 attacks. And add on top of that, he's got a Colossus on the way.
Yeah, he's got plenty of force fields, too, with this.
Yes, he does. So we'll see here. It's still going to require good control. Can't be careless with this. Any amount of forces certainly still have to be careful with. But he's done a nice job of walling off up at the front. So he's limited the attack path really to what comes off here off to the right. So that's kind of a clever spot to wall. I've never seen someone do it exactly like this. Although, like I said before, we've seen some kind of weird things where people will wall this and then take this as a quick 4th. We've seen some people wall this space as well. So a lot of different options there.
Yeah, for sure. It all depends on kind of what direction you want to be expanding in this game. Now, San looks like he wants to kind of stay on 3 bases and just kind of stick with that, too. If he had been thinking about taking a relatively quick 4th where the Rich Vespin geyser is, he probably wouldn't have made a wall like this. Roach is doing a little bit of pressure, and I think they catch a glimpse of the Colossus there, so we should see a response from Miya fairly soon. Now that he knows his money is actually getting fairly high.
Yeah, we'll see if we get... well, okay, he did have enough for a bunch of infestors, but puts up a few of them and then decides to invest in Hive Tech. So Hive Tech and Spire coming up at once, and he will be able to move over to Broodlords very quickly.
Yep. And again, Miya just going to be able to harass a little bit at the front, taking out that pylon this time around. Ooh, getting chased a little bit there. Oh, and San getting his Colossus in a bit of a dangerous spot for a moment, but ends up being okay with some good micro and kills a lot of roaches there, too.
Yeah, no kidding. It, believe it or not, ended up being pretty good for him at the end. So at the same time, though, there's an attack down at the bottom right, but it looks like San is able to hold off for long enough with some with a photon cannon and a few stalkers.
Yeah, San, you know, really giving me the impression that he's not terribly interested in taking a 4th base in this game. And you can max out and have a very scary army with 3 bases as Protoss. It looks like he's going mostly for Colossi +3 attack on the way. And I don't think, has he gotten any armor? He did get +1 armor. Okay, yeah. So he will have that at least, but just mostly focusing on the attack upgrades this time around. Kind of trying to create that big gateway Colossus Deathball, looks like, against what SlayerS Miya's got.
And Miya just finishing up that Hive Tech and Spire. Oh, looks like he is able to get through with a few Zerglings here, but of course there's a double wall he's going to have to worry about. So even though he's done a little bit of damage up here at the front, this little double protection system has worked out perfectly for San, and he was under no real threat. So pretty cool out of him, but Miya is doing a nice job of just making sure he keeps units in 2 locations at once, even though these Zerglings are kind of freaking out.
I mean, he also, well, yeah, that's just what Zerglings do, man. They just go crazy. But he also timed out that quite nicely, so the Spire and the Hive finished at about the same time, so he could go for that Greater Spire now. Oh, catches that forward pylon, no problem here. And he is going to be able to have Corruptors out to try to handle these Colossi. So if he can defeat this army and keep his Corruptors alive, he's going to be able to follow this up with a very strong Broodlord push. It all depends on how effectively he can kill this army from San.
Yeah, huge blink forward there, picking off a few units, but did expose quite a bit of his army if there was anything else to follow that up. But let's actually take a look at his vision here as these units are kind of posturing away from each other. We'll keep tracking that as well. He saw Hive Tech coming up, and he did see the Infestation Pit was there. So yeah, okay, so he's got a pretty good idea of what his opponent is up to.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, both players, it seems like, have a pretty good idea of what the other one is planning right now. Miya trying to get a good position for those Roaches and Lings. The Lings dying so fast to the Colossi. Yeah, that is not worth it. And Miya now with some Roaches pretty badly out of position, although San leaving some Stalkers back there just kind of to die, not really microing those at all.
Yeah, he could have blinked them and picked up a few additional units, but he's worried about what's happening up at the front now. Infestors catching a few units with fungal growth there, but haven't been the most cost-effective in the world. Haven't even touched the Colossi there, sitting at the back.
Yep, there are Corruptors on the way, 7 Broodlords on the way as well. I believe some did just morph, so will San be ready? Miya needs to keep the energy high on those Infestors. He needs to make sure every fungal growth is exactly where he needs it to be. That count is a little bit low, and if he loses him, he's not going to really have the gas to replace a lot of those Infestors either.
And we'll see if he can get underneath those Broodlords. He doesn't have that many Blink Stalkers. It's enough to, well, he's only picked off 1 Broodlord so far. The rest of the units are starting to filter in, but the Colossi are just cleaving their way through. The Zerglings at the back. One of the Colossi finally going to go down. Had 32 kills on it as well, so certainly proving to be quite an effective unit, but all the Stalkers were cleaned up underneath the Broodlords. Only 2 of them went down.
Yeah, the Corruptors need to pull back just a little bit. I feel the Broodlords needing to stay a little bit safer, and it's just kind of like I said, Miya lost a good amount of Infestors there. Now he's going to need to replace those, but he doesn't. He's going for Ling Roach, and this is going to be a good opportunity for San to go after that base. Oh, but he can't get it. The base at under half health, but Miya defends. Tense game right now between these 2 players.
Yeah, had to get away there, but like you said, San not going up to a 4th base right now, sitting at just 133
Oh, he's
supply.
blinking in to kill the Infestors.
And he does manage to pick off 1, but another one was just down to 1 hit point and wasn't able to get it. It was at full energy as well.
Kidding.
So frustrating.
That Colossus is like, hey guys, let's go. Let's
oh, you're back here now. Oh, okay.
That was close, man. He almost got a little bit overzealous, which for a Protoss is kind of expected.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you know, had some Zealots and all.
Exactly. Well, the Zealots especially.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit overzealous from time to time.
Yeah, I heard they tuned it down, Union rules or something like that.
Speaking of which, here they come into the main base. Those Zerglings not going to do too well against them. Be better off to just micro those Roaches, but it looks like he just wants to kill it all as fast as possible.
Yeah, and he does. I mean, he suffers the loss of a ton of Lings, making a 3 there. Not really sure what that was. It was kind of weird. But at the same time, some Blink Stalkers making their way through, but not really picking off anything of consequence. I think a good portion of the strong forces. Yeah, it looks like the Colossi were trying to walk around the side, but weren't able to be granted vision by the Stalker, so it just kind of ended up not working out all that well for San.
Yeah, I mean, San's plan seems a little bit confused, I gotta say. I mean, he wanted to move out with a very traditional Gateway Colossus army, but I feel like that type of strategy just isn't as good in PvZ these days with the current metagame. You need to be switching up that late game tech, and you need to have a good balance of Gateway, Robo, and Twilight tech to handle that, you know, late game Zerg army. We see him taking a 4th base right now, but it kind of seems like more of an afterthought than something that was planned, you know, from the beginning.
Well, Miya now just sitting on 4 bases as well, so as soon as this gets established, San's going to be on equal bases with his Zerg opponent. Looks like we are finally going to have a 5th popping out for Miya here. Looks like they're using the non-GSL version of the map. There's not those pocket expansions along the side.
Yep, that is correct. There we go. The Archon's coming out now for San, switching over to that Twilight tech, getting Warp Prism speed as well, which is going to help him be very harass-oriented. Yesterday we saw Hero kill, what was it, like 190 drones through the course of that game or something ridiculous like that.
That was pretty insane.
Yeah, it was pretty high in the hundreds, I know. A little bit of a counterattack coming down at San's 3rd base. Looks like he does have 2 cannons in position, but those roaches should make short work of them if they choose to.
Yeah, it's going to have to require a response out of San, though. And he does have, well, actually, it was lucky for him. He had a Warping Cycle just ready to go, so he is going to be able to clean this up while taking minimal losses. So even with the burrow there, no, it looks like he's just outside of vision range. Now, Miya not really going to be able to do anything else with this, unfortunately, not able to counterattack while those units are pulled to the side.
Yeah, you know, Miya kind of looking for that opportunity right now, and oh, I love this. More Zerg players have been doing this lately, going for a lot of Banelings later in the game. Oh, he gets War Prism too.
Ooh.
Some Zealots there, but
yeah. Did pick off 1 Infestor, but wasn't able to get a second, unfortunately. So
basically, what I had mentioned there was with the Banelings being added in, when you know your opponent doesn't have as many sentries anymore, after you get them to switch into a lot of Stalkers because of your Broodlords, you go for Ling Baneling because they're not going to be able to stop you from running in there, especially if you get good fungal growth. So this could be rough for San once these armies actually collide.
And looks like those Zealots are going to be able to clean up the roaches, but there's a fair number of Templar back as well. Storm is on the way. They don't have enough energy for that quite yet, but they will whenever the Storm does finish up. So, he's looking to just hit some feedbacks, but unfortunately gets a little bit far ahead and loses 2 of his Templar for not much.
Yep, that's right, and here comes Miya. There's Archons coming from each side. I love that, using the Infested Terrans to draw fire from some of the units. Corruptors coming in. Oh, the big blink under the Broodlords. Was it a good idea or not? The Banelings hitting, doing a lot of damage.
That was actually really good Baneling placement as well.
GG.
And there it is. GG. SlayerS Miya knocking out NSHoSeo.San and puts SlayerS